All right, so you have a small budget and you're trying to find some way to grow your NFT portfolio. Well, let me just say it can be done. It is absolutely possible to take a very small amount of money and turn it into something very big through NFT flipping. Now, it's not all that easy, but hopefully by the end of this video, you guys will have a better understanding and a better idea of how exactly this can be done. So if you guys are new, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So the first thing that we have to understand, just from a context point of view, is the fact that, look, we do not have the budget to make very massive risks. And this is, I think, how so many people lose money with NFTs, is because they just don't put in enough money to buy the quality projects, the safer projects that we know for a fact are going to appreciate. So the question is, how can we buy things that are cheaper, a little riskier, and still reap the rewards? Well, to start off, there are a few potential options that we could work with. Now, the first thing that I wanted to show you guys and explain to you is to find an ecosystem that is cheap and actually usable. So again, Solana here is really my favorite because there are so many projects being minted just about every single day. It's pretty easy to make a flip if you wanted to, and I would bet that out of these mints coming up, if you found one that was good, say Meta Village here, I think it is almost a guarantee with certain projects like this that for the time being after their mint, they will go up around 1 Solana. This is a very, very typical trend that I notice with mints. And again, sometimes, guys, you have to learn just to take your wins when you can. Because again, we don't have a massive budget here. So what we're trying to do is to catch some level of mints. Let's say we are catching a mint for Meta Village or Citizen 1. If we find a mint that looks really, really desirable and are able to catch that just in time, we could very well find one of these immediately listed for 1 Solana higher, and boom, now we have a lot more to work with. So again, this has been done before and it probably will continue to be done. So a great example of this, let's say Botborgs. These guys were, I think, around a mint of 2.5 Solana. So if you would have spent 2.5 Solana on the mint, you could have listed it for 5 and you would have gotten that easily on that floor price. And then same thing, Bobos of War. This is just another example. Right now, the floor price is around 2. That was the mint price. But if you would have bought it at 2 at mint at the time, you could have listed it for 3 and it would have sold for 3 at the time. So the first thing I want you guys to understand when trying to develop a strategy for this is to take whatever wins you can get. Don't diamond hands everything into the ground, because unfortunately, while that is nice sometimes, you're not going to be able to make your money back fast enough, and you might be getting a little bit over leveraged. And that's an issue that so many people run into, is that they run out of liquid Solana or run out of liquid Ethereum to use, and they are left with a very small supply that allows them to buy basically nothing. So sometimes taking these quick little flips off of mint is a fine idea, at least until you get to a point where you can make more ambitious purchases. So again, if you're just starting, try to make those quick flips when you can. Now, before any further, guys, if you guys are enjoying, make sure to check out my Patreon down below in the description so you guys can see exactly what NFTs I am buying and when. You guys also get access to the private Patreon only chats on my Discord, tons of behind the scenes exclusive content, including my NFT calendar, so you can see exactly what NFTs I am looking at here in the near future. There is so much content on the Patreon. To be honest with you guys, I think it's a steal for only $10 a month. Okay, so you made some money with some quick flips. Now what do you do? Well, there are a few options. I think the best thing is to try to get on as many whitelists as possible. So let's say we have something like Cosmic Condos here. This is something that will be coming out tomorrow, actually. By the time you guys are watching this video, maybe a little bit later. But what you could see with a project like this is that it's very, very hyped. I get routinely asked about this in my streams, and if you had a whitelist for something like this, I think it is very, very likely that you would make money off of the start. So trying to get whitelists for desirable projects is really just a no-brainer. There are tons of Ethereum projects out there as well that you could look at that you would make money from with a whitelist. And really, to be honest with you, whitelists are so important because they allow you to get early access to something that is just so desirable in comparison to many of the other projects out there. There are a lot of projects out there that are not nearly as desirable as some of these really sought after whitelist ones. For example, we have Squiggles, same thing, 160,000 followers. Getting on a whitelist for something like this is literally like an instant couple of $1,000s. I mean that's the minimum. It's very likely that Squiggles will go for more than 1 Ethereum. So again, for whitelists, you definitely want to try to be active in these discords to try to do the tasks that they want you to do, because if you're able to do that, you'll get on some whitelists for things that are extremely valuable that we know will immediately surge after the mint, which will look cheap in comparison. So if something has over 100,000 followers on Twitter like this and you get on the whitelist, chances are you're doing pretty good. And then boom, you've taken your very small mint, the amount you spent on that mint, and turned it into something a lot greater. Now the final idea is perhaps the most ambitious one, but I have seen it done before. I have made money by doing this, and I think a lot of people could learn something from applying this strategy. So this strategy involves just being a good community member. So, for example, we're looking here on Magic Eden. There are tons of projects, some of which are very, very big. The Sweets, this is a huge project. Bobos of War, huge project. But there are some on here that are actually very, very small. I could look at any of these, find something that looks tiny, let's say Designer Punks. Okay, floor of 0.4. I could find something like this, Pixel Slime, only 55 of them. That's crazy. That's a crazy low supply, right? I could find something like Monkey Ice Cream. I mean, there are a million of these projects that are always on the homepage for Magic Eden. I mean, we just keep going and going and going. And almost all of these have a very, very low floor price. So, in theory, you could buy up the entire supply of a project like this if you wanted to and list it for whatever you wanted. But again, the problem is you're not going to have the activity to likely sustain purchases like that. This project here has decent activity and, the floor is pretty cheap. But, if you took all these and listed them for, a very, very expensive price, you probably would not be able to maintain this level of activity. So what can you do? Well, what you can do is you could be a good member of a Discord, of a Twitter community. No matter what it is, you can be a good community member for any of these projects. And what you can do is literally buy up some of the supply, buy up, 5 out of a collection of 50 or 100. Then you own 5%, 10% of all of the supply available. And then you could go advertise the project. You can go talk in their Discord, talk to people in other Discords, say, hey, I think this project perform well, and it's very easy to take that and turn it into a sought-after, desirable collection. I've seen it done before, and it could very well be done in the future. There are projects that have a tiny supply, and when a project has a tiny supply, it's very easy to control the way the floor moves. An example of a project that has done this very well is the Champions. So, these guys only have a supply of 222, and take a look at this, only whitelist. So only whitelist is available for this project. So it's very likely that they will be in communication with the people who are minting this. And of course, once that's, said and done, they could go and list it for a high price and promote it. And boom, you have created a sought after art collection. So again, you have to think about this in a different sense than you would regular cryptocurrency. Think about this more in the sense of a fine art collection. You are taking an art collection, no matter what that may be, from the homepage of Magic Eden, and you could literally go and list it for whatever you want it to. Now, of course, it's hard to get people to buy something that is listed for so expensive like that, but if you're able to build up the community, talk to people, help out in their Discord, help build this project up, you can very well make yourself an easy flip. And again, if you bought, let's say, 5 of these stand-up clubs, boom, floor is 15. I have no idea what the floor was previously on a project like this, but, say the floor was 2, if you would have bought 5 of them at 2 Solana and been able to somehow get it up to a floor of 15, you could sell it for 15, make all your money back, and let the other 4 ride. So things like this have been done before. They very well can be done, and I think this is probably the safest bet at trying to make a flip on an NFT. And an example that I wanted to just give some credit to is Rowdy Rams, because these guys are always being talked about. The floor is 0.26, which is nothing amazing right now, but the floor started out at 0.1, and routinely they will fly up to a floor of 0.5 because the community for this is just insane. These guys are always buying these. They're always tweeting at me. They're always, pumping up their Discord and going crazy in the Discord. So with a project like this, again, they seem to have the community backing and the unanimous collaboration of everybody who's involved. And that is why they were able to bring themselves up to a little bit higher of a floor. And I think in the future will bring themselves to a higher floor of at least probably a half a Solana. So that is that, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you all did, make sure to drop a like like, subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments whether or not you guys agree and enjoyed these strategies that I mentioned. Make sure to check out the Patreon down below in the description. That being said, my name is Matt. See you guys on the next one. Peace.